Welcome to Empowering Chats with Susan Burrell. This is where we have deep, intimate conversations about self-empowerment and future existence. I am an intuitive healer and a light leader who has been called to activate other light leaders. So I'm curious, are you one of them? So by listening, lean in and see if you are ready to be that eternal potential you've been called to be. Using your bravery, your talent, your tenacity, can you be innovative and adventurous in order to activate your light and lead from that place? This is where we learn how to love ourselves from the inside out and love the whole world over and over again. Enjoy the show. All right, everybody. This year has been about having people back on the show that I think have really, really, really important things to discuss so that anybody can lift their consciousness simply by listening to the conversation, because the frequencies within these conversations is pretty high. So I want to welcome the woman that is, you kind of called a pioneer from a while back, but I want to welcome back to the show Penney Peirce. Penny, thanks for being a pioneer.
Thank you. It's the P's.
It's the P's, the PPPs. Yeah. So you guys, Penny was on a few months ago when her book Frequency went into the 15th edition. So this woman knows her stuff. And we'll have the link to that show in the show notes so you can listen to that episode if you missed it last time. But Penny, today let's talk about transparency, because that is another one of your books.
Right.
And transparency seems to be the thing that people have been avoiding.
You said it. Yeah.
Yes, I did say it. So for you, what is transparency in a broader spectrum? And then let's talk about intuition in terms of that as well.
Uh-huh. You know, to me, part of it was when I first moved from San Francisco to Florida to help my mom. I encountered an awful lot of closed thinking or conservative thinking, people with open hearts, but they didn't. I didn't think I could say what I do.
Uh-huh.
You know, and
Wait,
so
Penny, quickly say what you do.
say what I do. Okay, yeah, no, I mean, I have been working on the whole transformation process since I was in my 20s, I think, when it started to occur to me that something really big was going on, and I wanted to see through the surface of everything and go down to the core, find out what was happening, and then bring that out. And I realized I almost had a kind of a calling, not this free calling, but something that just took over. And it was like one of those things you stand on in the airport and it carries you down, does it?
A conveyor belt of some type.
Conveyor belt, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've been doing that, and it's been deepening and deepening and deepening and deepening and weaving in. I mean, I did shamanism and Buddhism and everything. It's all in the mix.
Yeah.
So,
and you're a visionary, because before we got on, you had mentioned that your book Transparency is going to be coming out in paperback soonish, and you're hoping that will help people to pick up a copy because you tend to be a little ahead of your time as a visionary.
Right. That book was definitely ahead of its time, but I think we're caught up to it pretty much. A lot of people are anyway at this point.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that, man.
But so the rest of my story about coming to Florida was that my guidance said, I thought, I better be really careful how I talk to people here. And then I got this guidance that said, Penny, just be exposed.
Ouch.
What?
Yeah.
Be exposed. Don't hide. Don't try to protect yourself. Just, be a clear space in the field of Florida, is what it said. And anyone who can see you will see you. And anyone who can't, they won't see you. which was an amazing, opening really to get me going on this transparency thing, which has been with me all along. I've written about it in other books and then forgot that I wrote about it. Finally came up as it's time to have its time in the light.
Yeah. And I can relate to that. Your guidance saying those that will see you, and those that can't won't. I can totally relate to that because when I walk in a room sometimes, years ago, I tried to do networking for my business. That was because I would walk in a room and some people would see me and other people, I was non-existent. And I was like, whoa, that's interesting. So eventually I left that networking group because there was the consciousness of the individuals that couldn't see hadn't been developed. So they really couldn't see.
Nothing wrong, but it's like you're at a different, like it is a frequency level.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
And when, so anyway, so that's kind of where a lot of it started. And, but I wanted to talk a lot about what happens to us because I've been writing about the acceleration of energy and frequency on the planet for years,
Yep.
what it's been doing to us. And especially now, in frequency, I outlined the 9 stages of the transformation process and how this whole thing is working. And what's happening now is that we're at a much more, we've acclimated to a much higher frequency natural level, like a new normal.
Okay.
And we're able to now, because we're living at this higher level, to see things that are on that level. So to see non-physical beings, to understand outer space beings, to understand inner earth, there's so many things that we're seeing through to.
Yes.
Transparency is we see through the slow frequency surface of things into the inner blueprint or the high frequency inner core of a person or a tree or a butterfly or a situation, a place.
Yep.
And we can relate to which one are we going to relate to? Where do you put your attention? Do you get stopped at the outer layer of what I'm now calling kind of old human thinking?
I like that phrase.
Or do you go through it into this kind of really exciting, unified, rapid, thing where everything's there for you and it's easy. It's actually so easy. And the higher frequency we get, the quicker it is we understand how this works. And this is basically, we're understanding how it works in spirit.
Yes.
In the non-physical realms.
In the non-physical realms.
Yeah.
So when you said in spirit, which is my big thing, aligning with a high frequency of love, which I think is the ultimate reality or the allness, the oneness or whatever. Something just kind of yanked my attention when you said spirit, because I wonder if people really realize that that's what it is, this higher frequency and this accelerated rate. And the opening of their consciousness really is this source energy thing.
Yes. Well, some do. And people who are more left-brained or scientific may want to think of it in terms of physics.
Mm-hmm.
Thing.
Yeah.
Universal, energy field. It's all the same.
It's all the same.
Depending which side of your brain you're talking from. But spirit, to me, is a general word that is of the soul. It's as you go into your inner self and you feel, I'm not just my personality. I'm a soul. And a soul is made of consciousness. So, even a soul is a thing that we think of. I have a soul. I always think like a balloon out there that you're like, well, wait, no, I am the soul.
Yes.
Now, part of this process is that we're bringing the soul into the body, into the personality, and I'm here running this show of Penney.
Right.
I'm here, I'm it. But what's it? Then you go into that and you find it's just consciousness that's in everything, but it's shaping itself according to some filter I'm helping out with, or we are helping me with. I
Right.
don't think it's all just up to an individual.
Right. So
I
in the idea of transparency, Penny, then do some definition boundary, like you're saying you're Penny and I can do this and I can say I'm Susan, but do those that kind of physical reality boundaries thing kind of not dissolve but
yeah,
become transparent, I guess.
it gets recontextualized or something, I think that there are a series of insights that we go through to unseparate ourselves. First we have to develop a sense of self, and so you
Right.
see that a lot going on now. The ego's in control. I'm this. I'm great. I'm branded. I'm, like, somebody great. And then you start to realize, well, that's kind of in the way. And now
Exactly.
and then what I really am is a soul. And now we're going inside and not just looking at the outer physical world. And as you do that, you get a sense of love and a lot of things we've been longing for and realize I already have it.
Right.
Why don't I
There,
just play within it with everybody,
exactly. Wouldn't that be
The
wonderful?
next thing is that you suddenly realize how interconnected you are with all the souls, that the soul energy is a similar energy focused, it's a consciousness focused through different portals. But it's the same content. We have access to everything, all knowledge, all past lives, all of our lineage and our
Yeah.
past ancestors and everybody. It isn't limited.
Mhm.
And
I was talking to or a client texted me, I don't know, a month or so ago and said, "Oh, my husband and I saw that the secrets of Atlantis will be revealed next year." I'm like, "Oh, because
so
we
there will be a time for the frequency on the planet to be such that we're
can
already starting to see the ancient history of the planet, and thanks to Dolores Cannon and people like that, getting past life regressions into before we even came to Earth, why we came.
exactly."
And
And we have we like you just said, we all have access to that, but the density of the consciousness that individuals are holding make it seem like we don't.
right. It's like I was thinking, well, if I could really be evolved, I would really like to be able to read the Akashic records and
Mhm.
find out about everything about the history of the earth and everybody, who was who in past lives. And then maybe earlier this year or last year, maybe I'd realize, wait a minute, I'm in the Akashic records right now. And when I ask a question, where does my answer come from? I get answers like right away. It comes out of that field.
Oh,
And so
that's
I'm
so
there.
cool, Penny.
And it's just that we have this idea that, well, I couldn't possibly know that. Why not? And
Exactly, why not?
just you have to develop the kind of character and I mean ethics and love, motive, kindness to not misuse information.
So
You
do you think we're actually that's part of what we're going through is character development and ethical development right now so that we
exactly
don't misuse it? Because when my student said, "Oh, we'll have access to Atlantis' secrets," I was like, "No, no, that's not a good idea." Because
right.
look what happened.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I think that is a good way of framing it, what you said. And we're seeing examples of poor character in the leaders of nations, and we're seeing ego in all of its strutting pride, thinking it's the all powerful force in the world. And, um, and then as we're beyond that, because in order to get to some of these higher levels, you have ego death.
Yeah. Yeah.
All that means really is that the ego has to let go of being the boss and thinking it or the left brain is gonna control everything and make it all happen because
Right.
you're alone in the world and I must control it all because otherwise I'll be swamped with negativity or whatever.
Well, yeah. And controlling it all was a survival mechanism,
Right.
when we became humans eons ago.
Right.
But I have found, maybe it's just me, Penny, but I have found that there's not just one ego death. I think there's people out there that, oh, well, I no longer have an ego because it died. No, see,
That's ego right there.
exactly. The fact you're saying that says you need to you need to die a little bit more, honey.
Right. And all that is just, seeing the sort of the limitation of that kind of thinking. And you're going, this is helping me.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what came along with that for me was that I had a kind of a life review um, where I saw my entire life back to when I was, like 2 years old or something, and talking to my mother about reincarnation and going, yes, of course, I was like little, but every episode laid the way for the next thing to occur, which laid the way for the next thing to occur so that I could get my memory back in a harmonious way that wouldn't upset me. It wouldn't be too much too soon.
Oh, that's
The
wonderful.
whole process and the engineering of it, and it was phenomenal. I was like in awe, and I was like, wow, I could write about this. I could do something with this. And then I thought, well, I'm not that interested in it. Well, because who am I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am that. I did all that. It was interesting. Yeah, it is interesting. And yet I'm just kind of like this white hole with stuff coming out, you know, and then I waffle back and forth. I'm Penny. I see myself in the mirror, and then I'm just in a ball or something. I'm just not. I'm just a consciousness, and then I'm back. I kind of rock in and out. But the idea of letting go of identity is a huge thing that a lot of people are going through right now.
Yes.
But the story is not that important. And everybody's saying, oh, you have to tell stories. That's why people learn things. Well, yeah, it's entertaining.
Well, and it's how we used to learn things. It's not how we're learning things now.
Right.
And I think it's because things are happening so rapidly now. You don't have time to sit down and spin the story about what just happened because something else just happened.
Yeah. 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 Because it's almost like I call it kind of kinesthetic telepathy.
Ooh, I like that phrase.
It's because you get the impress, like a Tempur-Pedic mattress I always think of, you get the dent of the information and then you go back to your normal shape. And these things come in or come out of us, I don't know, but and integrate almost immediately these days.
Yeah, if we allow it, right? I know
If there's nothing in the way.
I have been guilty of saying, no, I'm not going to learn that right now. Just stop it.
Yeah, or yes,
Actually,
but.
just stop
Yes,
it.
but.
Don't.
Yes, but.
Yeah. Yeah. So can we talk about how intuition plays a part in developing our inner transparency and leading from that place?
Yeah. Well, part of the intuitive movement, I think, is that we're moving out of our left brain analytical, rules-oriented society and fear-based thinking into the right brain and into the whole brain, really. So that we're understanding, because intuition is the direct connection with the non-physical realms,
Yes.
with the energy and consciousness realms. And it's direct knowing. And we all use it all the time, even scientists and so forth, and, computer people. But when you start using it as a way of directing your own life and getting guidance for yourself and realizing that it's alive and it's wise and you can trust it,
Yeah.
then your life starts blossoming and you start seeing through. It's like, to me, for a while, it's like one foot in each world. I'm in the physical and the non-physical at the same time, and I can look at something in the physical and almost see through it or feel into it and say, oh, well, this sofa would be better over on this side of the living room, or, oh, I would like to eat spinach this week. It feels like I need greens, and just trust it. And if you question it, it just stops everything, and so it's like just stay in the thing that feels deeply comfortable. And that's not being lazy.
No, it's not. And that's also what you mentioned earlier, things become easier. That's what part of the ease is because we're trusting ourselves and we're not outsourcing, how we should live and who has a say over our lives. We're doing it. That's that whole paradigm of sovereignty that people have been talking about for the last
Right.
couple of years.
And sovereignty expanded becomes unity. But when we have this kind of, boundaries around ourselves and we have an inside and an outside world, then of course you have to try to control the world or you're the victim of the world and you can be a dominator or a victim. And then there's all these behaviors that come out around that and the ego can do both of them. It does. Passive aggressive and really aggressive.
Right.
And so you start to recognize these defensive maneuvers and you realize I don't need to because there's no boundary around me. I feel the whole thing. I know the whole thing. Everybody's part of me. So I'm friends with it. I'm not there's no enemies.
Okay.
And then the other part of that that's less dramatic is that we get snags and frustrations and, my computer got hacked, blah, blah, and I can get really upset about that and even angry, except that what's happening in me is that I gave power to something in the outside world and separated. And that separation gap causes panic.
Oh, yes, it
Deep
does.
down, it causes us to go into fear and panic. And then we have to go into domination or submission in order to try to handle it. So if you don't separate and you take every snag as something that's part of your flow, that's part of the evolving process that you've asked for, then you get a wonderful lesson out of it. And then it just passes and everything clears up. And you're just on to the next evolutionary thing. It could be a wonderful surprise. It could be another snag because it's something you need to get rid of.
I like that you're using the word snag instead of something because that's such a softer word instead of block or mistake or even mistake is kind of not soft, but a snag means
True either.
yeah, I can just unsnag myself and keep going. It doesn't hold me back.
Part of it is that when you hit one of those things, the left brain wants to jump ahead and solve the problem.
Oh boy,
And it gets you out of the present moment.
Right.
And if you stay in the present moment, the next step presents itself to you. Well, I'll just make a phone call to, Quicken and see why this isn't working. And then you wait and you get the right person and then it's done. But if you're in that mood, you get the wrong person or the telephone thing that goes around and around, and then there are more snags.
Right. Right.
So I mean, part of this is it relates back to transparency.
Yes, I hear that.
Because when you are not creating the inside-outside block and you let it go, you see through. And that creates transparency, and then you can see through other people, other situations. You can understand why it's occurring, and then other people understand you. It goes
Really? Oh gosh, I hope so. For me, because sometimes I start talking and people glaze over. I'm like, oh,
yeah, I know that, but just keep being kind and being there and being true to yourself and being a living example. And they may go away and go, well, that was interesting,
I think they usually do.
And then they find a book that says something similar, and then they find another person that says something similar, and it starts rolling.
Yeah, yeah. So, if being transparent is feels really vulnerable, like we need to be okay with being vulnerable if I'm also going to lead my life as transparent as I can, as honest as I can. There's that vulnerability that a lot of people don't like.
Right. Okay, there's some ways of thinking about this. One, a lot of times people are projecting onto you their own thing. And that happens when you have a matching picture with them or a matching pattern. It could be the last little wiggly bit of it. But if it's still there, that pattern will find the other pattern and then they'll project.
Interesting.
Or you can have nothing of the pattern. And they just are uncomfortable because you're not matching them.
Yeah.
And so they'll project into the space. You're like an empty, hollow space, like it be a clear spot in the field of Florida, because then stuff goes in and it dissolves. It becomes clarity. You don't do the work. The field does the work.
Right. Oh, I love that image.
And you don't react necessarily because why? If you've gotten to see that there's no outside world and that you're yourself and you're eternal and you've gotten clear of your fears, that we are. We're all getting just like, what a waste of time to get upset about something like that or to put all energy into vengeance or something, like, why waste all this creative, wonderful time here on Earth in 3D? Everybody would love to be coming. There's a lot of souls that would like to be here and they can't get in. So you just start to make choices like that. And then when people do that to you, it rolls off you.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, you're giving them an example of how they could feel if they wanted to.
Okay. So I have a bunch of questions from just that little bit you just said. But what I heard is to lead by example, to be that vulnerable, hollow space, to bring your clarity from your center into whatever the conversation is.
Or the field around you too. If you're clear, the field around you is clear. And when people come toward you, they don't encounter their own patterns. So they don't bounce off. But they go into a strange quandary.
Well, then the quandary is that the thing that helps that helps them to begin to see more of who they are or who they could be?
That's it. Mm-hmm.
Oh my.
It's like a sense of a great question that they've been avoiding looking at that suddenly shows up for them.
Yeah. So this is the times that we're living in right now, right, Penny?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And, to see the negativity that's happening in the world and all the fears that are arising, it's mainly because fears are such a low frequency. And we're living in a field of a very high frequency that they can't remain invisible and stuffed anymore. So all that fear stuff is coming up into the conscious mind. It's surfacing into consciousness. And we're seeing it playing out. But it can't stay focused at the level that it's at. It's trying to maintain something that's familiar from the past.
Right.
That gives it supposed power.
Right. And the past is not where we're at. That's
No,
not where
and
we're
that
at.
frequency is not, it's not even where we're living. It's, I don't think the real bulk of the people are really in that anymore. And we're close to a tipping point.
Okay, I really appreciate you saying that because, traveling, my spouse and I just got back from Washington, D.C. For a reunion. We didn't go down to DC into the memorial. We didn't do DC proper. We stayed outside, my husband and I. But the buzz with people, the energy buzz was.
You can feel. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I had to go outside and stand by trees, because it was, and it's not that people, these people especially, it's not that they were wrong or bad or malicious. It's just that frequency. I couldn't be there, and yet I was there.
Has something to do with an inner argument or it's like the true self wants to come out and be loving and be the soul.
Mhm.
And the left brain and the sense of needing power and power over and can't, hurt my chances of being reelected or, maintaining power, but is at war with itself. And I think we're feeling that agitation, almost a static electricity within
Yeah.
a lot of the people who are in Washington today.
Yeah. And that's exactly people that are in fear. It is that static electricity. That's a great, for me at least, because I just run a lot of electrical energy, but uh, and they don't even know it. Okay, so can I give an example? Or I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. So in this group, I know that there were people that were at the Capitol when the riots happened. And that was horrific to me. It was like, how do you even do that? And then what we got to see and what came out, and then how everything's been covered up again. And I was telling my husband, I just if we come in contact with these people, which of course we will, because they're part of the group. If I begin to feel uncomfortable, I'm just gonna say a code word to you, and I'll go outside or I'll go someplace else, so that I didn't want to cause an upheaval. So what was so strange, Penny, is I had that story going, right? Oh, this could happen, and because of these people did the thing that I don't like. One of those people, I became his best friend. This, he's like, "Hey, Susan, I got a joke for you." He wants to tell me a joke. He wanted to, be in my energy. I know that's what it was. So something had changed in his life over the last year that he cleared a bit. There was a little clearer. He wasn't as dark an energy as he was to me 2 years ago or 3 years ago when I was. So it was interesting. So is that part of what you were talking about the pattern not, getting projected on you, but if you're in this holistic state of being, this oneness, then those patterns don't sync up, and people like that can come in and have more relief or clarity or.
Yeah, relief is a good word, I think. It's almost like the heart too. The heart to me is not a wounded thing. It's a space of total balance and harmony and love, if you want to call it, but it eats pain.
Oh, yeah.
Put the pain in there and it disappears because the heart doesn't believe in it.
Oh, I
It
love
doesn't have a reality. The soul doesn't have a reality around negativity. Doesn't know about no. That's the left brain.
right.
When you go into the spiritual self or the soul, you stop being aware of that. Like even to me, like sarcasm is now a form of vengeance. I just okay, subtle things. You don't do it anymore because it hurts people. It's in order to hurt people.
Right. It's all very subtle tools that were developed
That's right.
to
Yeah.
hurt and manipulate and control.
Yeah. Yeah. And belittle and all that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you just stop doing it. And when people come at you, it falls into the hole, into the white hole.
Yeah.
And it turns into neutral energy again. And then they go, "What happened to me? I didn't get a rise out of them. Oh, it didn't work."
Yep.
And so they may try something else, but it won't work.
Yeah. It's interesting because there was definitely some people that wanted to talk about what is going on. And I had chosen at some point this year, I have no idea when, not to talk about it because it perpetuates the thing I don't want. If I discuss it, then it's keeping it alive. And that's not where my heart is committed. I stand for peace. And that doesn't mean you trash mouth people, even if you really think it's okay. So I had to like really be cautious and watch myself, not to fall into that again.
Right.
And when I did, actually, then I was like, all right, we're detoxing it, taking it out of my vocabulary.
Or we
Whatever.
indulge in it, it really is kind of an adrenaline stimulator. And
Yes, it is.
and then that gives you that, woo, that the titillation and the good, strong, feeling strong. And, and you can not have to pay attention to fear then if you can keep that running.
Right. And if you go around finding agreement too, then it gets bigger. It builds that energy, which is fascinating to watch.
Yeah.
You know.
And so all of that is, that's what's happening in order for transparency to start occurring more. We have this phase we're in now, which is this clearing process. It's like letting the muddy water settle to the bottom, and making choices that are pro you, pro soul. And then when you do that, you see the soul in others. And so why would you not want them to win also?
Yes.
Because then they're going to help you if they win.
Yes.
Not that we have to envy somebody that's winning. We have to champion them because they're going to add more talent and opportunities and all kinds of stuff into your own reality.
Yeah. And creative expression that opens up more potentials.
Yes. More
Right. So
examples of what could be done. And then somebody says,
Exactly.
yeah, and how about this? And it's like a 3D video game, where you're just constantly playing off of each other.
Yeah. And that's how the expansion happens.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're allowing that.
But of course, that first feeling of vulnerability of becoming exposed and transparent, we're also used to hiding and having such a big culture around all the ways to hide and to deflect and to not have anybody get close. And then we're like, oh, no one loves me, like, well, did you let them come in?
Exactly. I talked to a client yesterday who said she felt alone and basically, no one loves me. And I'm like, so what are you doing to allow people in?
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. It's interesting. I'm feeling this need to share this. In terms of transparency. So I'm teaching a class on energy and the different various rays of light and universal laws and stuff like that. And so what's happening just in the second class, everybody's frequency was going through the roof, which is how I assist that too energetically. So people were just like bright lights, bright lights, bright lights in the room. There's 20 people. And at some point, the door was open for ventilation and something came in. And a bunch of people turned to the door, but there was nothing there, nothing there. And I could feel the energy kind of sliming its way into just because there was this beautiful light attraction going on. And I thought, okay, the fact that a bunch of people felt it, but didn't know they felt it, I was like, all right, so you guys, so I called them, the people in the room so that they could see they could do this, to assist in escorting that energy out the door and sealing the door, sealing whatever that portal was that opened because the light was so expansive and bright, whatever called it in. And so I'm standing there and it took a little while for this stuff to start to move back out the door. But I'm standing in the middle of the circle and, energetically talking to it. And I was like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Oh my God. And inside I'm thinking everybody's going to know who I am now. There's nowhere I can't hide. I can't hide if I'm doing this in front of a group of people. And all of a sudden I was like, well, there you go, Susan, you're out.
Right.
This is part of, It is part of what I do. I clear stuff. I clear energies.
Yeah.
So, and afterwards, of course, to a couple people, it didn't even happen. Oh, it was just the wind. I'm like, oh, yeah. You tell yourself that story. That's okay.
Mhm. Yeah. And so how did that affect you then after you realized that? Did it the next day or week or whatever?
Well, it did, in terms of me feeling outed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to work process it, but it took me about a day, to actually go, okay, you actually did that. How do you feel about that? Well, I would do it again if something was encroaching, that was not a healthy, in my mind, energy. I would definitely, again, I said, I'm a stand for peace, right? I'm a stand for love. I'm a stand for light. And I no longer allow that other kind of muck to encroach.
Mhm.
So I got clear. It did. It gave me clarity, Penny. It did give me clarity. Okay, so now this is who you are. A bunch of people know that. I'm sure they'll talk to each other.
Yeah, now you can talk more about it.
Right.
So, yeah, it's amazing how that happens. At the right time. It's just
Yeah.
um
The right time.
peeled away things.
Yeah.
Away. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that when we allow ourselves to be transparent, hey, anybody can see me. I don't have a lot to hide. And even if you saw something I didn't like, I don't care. You can do with it what you want, um, because we've all got it.
Right.
Um, and so then what else comes out when I'm not guarding myself is all the hidden stuff I have that's good. The greater genius stuff that we all have inside that is just seeking a chance to arise and waft outward, and become active in the world. Um, and and we weren't conscious of it because we were so busy protecting and hiding and, suppressing and defending ourselves
Right.
and all that stuff. And when you get rid of those behaviors, what's left? The real you, the real stuff. And then things, they really do start happening by magic because whoever is on your wavelength then shows up in the field.
Yep. Yeah.
And you show up in theirs, the same time. And we're having this convening now of people on wavelengths, similar wavelengths,
Yeah. Yeah.
who, I think specifically maybe have some kind of common work that they do that they need to talk to each other or they need to do a project together or whatever. But I'm seeing a lot of that happening now.
That's very encouraging.
Spiritual friends,
Yeah. That is very encouraging. So Penny, in the idea of developing transparency, self-transparency, what would you suggest? Give me a couple tips for the listeners in terms of, excuse me, how they can begin if they don't feel that they're uh, being transparent with themselves, if they don't feel tuned into their intuition. What would you recommend during this chaotic time that's going to be going on for a few more years, you guys?
Yeah. I think first thing is to notice when you have a reaction or a judgment towards something, because that's a
important.
contraction.
Uh-huh.
And that pulls your energy in and it moves into defensive mode. And then take a breath, turn it around, let that go, or let whatever it was that caused you to inhale like that, and say, well, what was that? What is it that I'm afraid of or that I think could harm me from the outside world?
Right.
Uh, and then say, I'm going to recenter into my true self. And who am I? I'm full of love. I'm full of joy, a love of surprise. I've been talking a lot about living in my joy body.
Oh, I love that.
It's like the inner energy blueprint of us that is connected. and loves everything. It's just delighted all the time.
Oh my goodness.
And when I can start to slide into that, and even my dog will respond when I get like that. Um, so it's a quick way to recenter, for one thing. And joy is
On your
more tangible than the word love.
Yeah,
If you
it is.
go in and feel what it was like to be in, like a puppy playing or something, joy is very tangible, and
Yeah.
it's very much about the heart expanding into much greater sense of self.
Yeah. That's amazing. I love that idea, and I love the joy body. I have a 2.5-month-old granddaughter, and she is living in her joy body, and she's just joy.
Yeah.
And
Light in the eyes.
oh God, she is absolutely still convening with both sides of the veil, if you will, and she's just in joy. She's having so much fun and totally turned on.
Yeah.
Came out completely turned on.
Mhm.
There's no having to work to learn. There's nothing. We're all watching her going, wow, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. That reminds me that one of the methods that I learned earlier too, which is related, is that you make your eyes shiny. You know how babies' eyes are, they're just like, oh, like this. You
Exactly.
have dull eyes or shiny eyes. And you can almost shift if you look in the mirror and you can go back and forth between the two states.
Oh, cool.
And when you make your eyes shiny, everything kind of opens up.
I
And
love that. That's a
changes your
good
whole
tool.
attitude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good tool. That's something for me. I'm going to practice that, Penny.
It's simple.
Yeah, I'm going to practice that. And that way I can teach other people, like my client who's feeling alone,
Yeah. And my father used to tell me when I was a kid and I couldn't sleep, he said, just smile and keep smiling. Just keep smiling and you'll fall asleep. It's like trying to keep it, and then it's like, um, but, yeah. But I mean, the gifts of the transparency thing are so immense and far reaching.
Mhm.
Because when you realize that there's no limits to what you can know, or, um, what kind of beings you can feel or know. You don't have to see them and you know what the shape they are, but you can feel them and sense essences. And, just the vast multiplicity of amazing creative forms that exist in the sort of physical, semi-physical reality. Because if you go further out, I think it's all becomes one big consciousness or awareness.
Yep,
But as
yep.
it filters down in frequency, it shifts out into dimensions
Right. And matter.
and matter. Yeah, we get time, space, and matter and
Yep.
3D stuff here, and it's sort of a privilege to be able to have come in and have lifetimes in 3D and appear solid.
Yeah.
It's like, I know, hey, nobody can really see me. They've got this thing. Uh, but now, as we're going back up again, now we're seeing through this, remembering where, our inner blueprint. And we can see the inner blueprint of anything and see whether it's sick or really vital and giving off light.
Well, so Penny, the inner blueprint to me seems like it's the truth, that with a capital T, the truth that each individual came in with. And so then when there's an illness, that's not part of the blueprint.
No, it is, because we've had a lot of lifetimes. And if
Okay.
we, have woundings in previous lives or things that shocked us and we inhaled and got stuck in that, or we died while we were in that, those things are in the energy body. They're like stuck places or wounds in the energy body. And so you go out, you still have them and you come back in, but they may not be as strong. Like, I died of tuberculosis in my last life. Well, I came in, I had lung problems. I had pneumonia when I was 2 and stuff, but it went away.
Right.
Didn't have to die of it again,
Right. Right.
So I think that those things are part of the filter in the energy body. So I picture it as like a sieve, upside down sieve. We've got
Okay.
holes in it, and solid places. And the solid places are the fears. So the soul's light doesn't get through there, but it does get through the love holes. We want to call it that. And then that comes in and gives you your character and your desire for more and your wanting to grow and all of that. And the more you clear the fear, the more holes you get. And then they get bigger. And then pretty soon it disappears and you've just got the soul coming through
Right.
unimpeded. And
Right.
that's
The
kind of
love.
what we're aiming for. So the inner blueprint in the beginning, it is like that, dark spots and light holes. And our job is to clear those dark spots. That's
Right.
a solidity or fear or contractions. And because every time we contract or we hold something,
Yes.
hold on, hold forth, hold back, whatever it is,
Right.
that's a stuck place
Right.
of energy. It's just not moving.
Yeah. And that is definitely not healthy.
And it's just in the way. It's all, it's just like you have to try to go around them and then they get activated. I had a dream where a higher being was working to clear me and they were running their fingers at me like this, like a wiggle at the middle part of my diaphragm area. And I looked down there and I could see into my body and there was a little, like a residue of an old pattern there that was like a snake skin that had been shed. And it's
Interesting.
like 1 or 2% of life left in it, and it kept groaning like, I got this. And every time it did, it would remind my whole system of the pattern.
Interesting.
So what she was doing was running energy into that residue to activate it enough that it could be gotten out.
Oh,
I never thought of before, but
no, I
sometimes
hadn't.
we need to get these things moving.
Right. And then cleared.
And then they'll go out in the field and dissolve.
Right. Yeah. Because the more light that we are, the
Right.
more whole.
And conducive, and we
Yeah.
can translate so easily from higher levels
Yeah.
through into this world. And especially not making this world bad, just knowing it's an experiential place that we all came into to understand what 3-dimension was. And then we got stuck in separation because we have solid forms. And then that changed our minds and our survival and our fear, love, and polarity and all that stuff came into being.
Well, I certainly hope that this time frame now, this bridge that we're crossing or walking on, is definitely leading us to a higher space of consciousness and love, so that all that fear stuff gets dissolved, gets dropped, gets.
Yeah. It's outdated.
It very much is. It very much is.
It really is. When you start thinking about it, it's like, it's so stupid. It's so old. It's so boring. You can hear the young people going, oh, old fuddy-duddies, but that's the way I'm thinking about, politics today and what's going on with.
Yeah, it's and the
so
fact
old,
that
can't they wise up here and.
I know they keep I see it as my dad's a fisherman, a fly fisherman, and I see it as they keep putting the line out there, and they're trying to reel, and they just keep doing the same repetitive thing where eventually there's no fish. Do you know what I mean? It's like just constantly trying to reel something old, like at the old boot on the fishing line,
Yeah.
reel that back in so everybody can see you caught something, except none of that. It's superfluous now. None of it is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think we will see the loss of power, but power is too strong a word, life force maybe, kind of a draining away, the balloon shrinking, slow leaks, and it's going to flatten down. A lot of that's the way it'll go. It's not going to be a big explosive thing. It's going to be undercutting, or do you know what I mean? It's just a fading.
A fading. I like that, Penny.
Fading into non-credibility, not incredibility, but, unimaginable, unpopular.
Right. And eventually it won't be part of, excuse me, the following generation's ideology at all.
Right.
At
It'll
all.
be really old. And remember when people used to do that? It's like we look at those old ads from the 1900s, but it has arsenic in it, and it's really good for you.
Oh my gosh. Penny, thank you so much for this conversation today. It's been really fun for me.
Me
And I love the idea of talking about transparency. So, yeah, thank you so much.
on it if you want, and because there's a lot more depth and all the new things that are happening to our perception
Yep.
today. It's happening pretty fast, and
Yeah. It's amazing. It's just
it is
amazing.
good to have a group of friends because the ones I have are getting phenomena and different things in different ways. If they're very physical, they're getting physical phenomena. It's like all kinds of lessons and insights that you got to share and compare notes.
Yeah, that's important. I think that's important.
Yeah.
Well, Penny Peirce, we'll definitely have another conversation with you. Thank you so much. And you guys get the book. It's coming out in paperbacks soonish. Transparency. And her other, you guys, the other book, Frequency. She's got a bunch of not to-dos, but exercises, experientials
Yeah.
you can do.
It's got 120 extra pages in the new edition.
Yeah.
It's quite a bit. Also, I wanted to mention that I'm on Substack under and mine. It's called Becoming Transparent! And there's a lot of really great writings on there, and
Okay.
people can see.
Becoming Transparent.
Yeah.
Your name isn't in it?
Well, you can get to it via my name, but you can just probably do a search
Okay.
for it.
We'll put
Yeah.
that in the show notes too.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Fun. Oh, yay. Fun.
Thanks for inviting me again.
Thank you, Penny. And thank you for all the work you've done from the very beginning of this lifetime. Thank you so much because you are a light.
I appreciate it.
Thanks. So I'm just going to end with, and so it is, namaste. Well, that wraps up our empowering chat for the day. I hope you enjoyed it and found it inspired you to be more empowered. If you want to find out more about me, go to susanburrell.com, my website, and you can see what we're up to. I am teaching classes again, so there's a calendar of that, and you can register. You can check out my book, Live an Empowered Life, a 30-day journey with the companion inspiration cards, or you can access my guided meditations that go through Insight Timer. We got a bunch of stuff on the website. Check it out. And until then, namaste.